People, a cybersecurity risk trilemma. So trilemma happens when it's a problem that got three main parts, but it's difficult to achieve all three of them. A very famous trilemma is the trilemma in project management about cost, time, and quality. You can't. It's difficult to achieve all three at the same time. If you want high cost and you want very, you know, low time, then you have to sacrifice on quality. So a trilemma is exactly what that is, which is it's difficult to achieve all three things at the same time. And this is a story of why that is the case. So this is what I call as the Datta Cybersecurity Trilemma. The Cybersecurity Trilemma argues that people can realistically achieve a maximum of 2 out of the 3 following goals. One, so you've got 3 main goals all the time. You want to have cybersecurity, of course, to protect your systems, your network, and data from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, modification, destruction, or for ransom. You want to have convenience, which is you want to ensure that systems and processes are easy to use, they're efficient, and they're accessible, right? And then confidentiality, which is to protect personal information from unauthorized collection, use, or disclosure. The challenge arises because these 3 conflict with one another. For example, you can increase security measures, but that would be less convenient, while if you prioritize security, that might limit the data available and so forth, right? So let's look at what the issues are. So the trilemma in action. Password management. So let's think of it. Strong passwords, they enhance security, but can be difficult to remember. That makes it inconvenient, which sacrifices convenience. Password managers offer convenience by storing and autofilling passwords, but they introduce a potential single point of failure, right? Or called a POF, a single point of failure. If they're compromised, it impacts security and privacy. Next, two-factor or multi-factor authentication, MFAs or 2FAs. 2FAs add a layer of security by requiring a second verification factor. It's just code sent to their phone in addition to a password. However, it can be inconvenient for users, especially if they don't have access to their phone, or the second factor is slow or unreliable. You're in a patchy part, you're traveling across the world, might not be a part of the data plan, amongst many other things. Then look at data collection and analysis. Collecting and analyzing large amounts of user data can help detect security threats and patterns of behavior. However, this practice raises privacy concerns, right? So more data they collect about us, companies can keep us secure. But that might also mean collecting sensitive information without explicit consent or using it for purposes beyond security. And how would we know that? Then is biometric authentication, because biometrics, very much like the way we use passcodes or similar. Fingerprints, facial recognition, they offer a convenient and secure way to authenticate users, but they also raise privacy concerns because biometric data is unique and very, very sensitive. And if it's compromised, it can have long-term consequences because you really can't change your biometric data just like you can change your passwords. Then, of course, think of encryption. Encryption protects data by scrambling it so that only authorized parties can read it. The very famous phrase, loss of possession should not mean the loss of confidentiality. So strong encryption can make data very secure, but it can also make it less convenient to access, especially if decryption keys are lost or forgotten. So let's look at it with some basic scenarios, right? So confidentiality and cybersecurity. So Alex is a project manager at a software development company, needs to collaborate with team members on a critical project. To facilitate communication and streamline collaboration, Alex decides to create a shared workspace using a cloud-based project management platform. This is an everyday story. This is what we do all the time. What was the justification? Cloud-based project management platforms offer secure and convenient collaboration features such as real-time document sharing, task assessment, communication tools. By leveraging such platforms, Alex can ensure that team members can access project-related information from anywhere at any time using their devices, promoting flexibility, efficiency, and productivity. And in this world of hybrid work and so forth, this becomes crucial. However, there's a confidentiality issue in the process. While the decisions it's convenient and saying it's relatively secure, while the decision to use a cloud-based project management platform may be cyber secure and convenient, it's not inherently confidential. Depending on the platform's configuration and access control, project-related information, documents, and communications may be accessible to authorized users within the organizations, even external collaborators such as clients or vendors. In a shared workspace environment, team members have the visibility into each other's activities, updates, contributions to the project. While this transparency, can help collaboration alignment, it also may compromise confidentiality, especially if sensitive project details or proprietary information that should be restricted is shared beyond a select group of stakeholders. You see the same thing with posting things on AI, right? On AI bots or chat forums or in the chat bots. What you're giving up, what you're trying to solve. It's very, very difficult to understand what are the internal guardrails. Next, convenience and cybersecurity. Sarah, in this case, a cybersecurity analyst at a financial institution, needs to access highly sensitive customer data stored in the company's database for a security audit. To ensure the confidentiality and security of the data, Sarah decides to implement a strict access control policy and multi-factor authentication for accessing the database. Of course, there's a strong justification for this because this is done every single day. Given the highly sensitive nature of the customer data and the regulatory requirements governing its protection, Sarah prioritizes confidentiality and cybersecurity by implementing stringent access controls and MFA mechanisms. By doing so, Sarah can minimize the risk of unauthorized access and data breaches, safeguarding the confidentiality and integrity of the customer data. And once again, integrity basically means that the data is consistent and has not been tampered with, right? So, of course, while this is secure and confidential, it is not convenient. While the decision to implement strict access control and MFA enhances confidentiality and cybersecurity, it may not be convenient for Sarah and other authorized users who need to access the data regularly for their job responsibilities. Strict access control policies and MFA mechanisms may include additional steps and authentication requirements, entering complex passwords, using security tokens, responding to authentication prompts, which can increase the time and effort required to access the data. And of course, if your network is patchy and this and that, many different things, you might say, wait, it's not working. Additionally, the need to adhere to strict access control policies and authentication requirements may disrupt workflow efficiencies and productivity, especially when you're dealing with time-sensitive tasks, urgent situations where quick access to the data is paramount. Now, let's look at convenience and confidentiality. Sarah, another Sarah, a human resources manager at a multinational corporation, needs to share sensitive employee performance evaluation with the executive team for decision-making purposes. To streamline the process and maintain confidentiality, Sarah decides to send the performance evaluations as email attachments to the executive's personal email address. Why? Well, the company uses email. It's already a part of the, it's merged into Microsoft Active Directory, easy to find the right person. It's a quick and convenient, commonly used communication tool. It's encrypted, some assume so. That allows Sarah to quickly disseminate the confidential information to the intended recipients without the need for additional software or platforms. By sending the information directly to the executive's personal email addresses, Sarah believes she can ensure confidentiality and discretion in the decision-making process. But that is not cyber secure. While Sarah's decision may be convenient and confidential in the long term, it's not cyber secure. Email communication is inherently vulnerable to interception and can lead to unauthorized access, especially when sensitive data, such as employee performance evaluations, involved. By sending the information as unencrypted email attachments to personal email addresses, Sarah exposes the data to various forms of interception by cyber criminals, unauthorized third parties. Additionally, executives' personal email accounts may not be adequately secured. They might be working off-site, maybe in an insecure area, further increasing the risks of data compromise. So, what are the summaries and what's the summary and the takeaways? Firstly, achieving all three cybersecurity goals is unrealistic. Trade-offs are necessary for security, convenience, and confidentiality. The trilemma is evident in real-world case studies every single day. Decisions have to prioritize a maximum of 2 out of 3 goals. So there are some interesting questions you could ask yourself. Should organizations tap into and monitor employee devices to protect them? If employees are a bit willy-nilly about how they protect their own devices, should the company take care of that? Should they install monitoring software? Will that increase security and convenience? No compliance requirements and penalties, but hamper privacy? Or is that an overreach of oversight? So, things to think about. Thank you.